Hello folks, welcome to the Virtual Realms YouTube channel. I'm your host, Ranger1. In this second phase of the early access testing for Armored Warfare, I am going down Shishkin's line for the most part. He's one of the two arms dealers currently in game, and I avoided him the first time around. I wanted to concentrate on Sophie's line of tanks instead, but now we're into Shishkin's, and they tend to be more in-your-face brawlers for the most part. And this is the Tier 2 offering that Shishkin has, the Scorpion. It's a British vehicle, and it's got a pretty good gun on it that used to pack one heck of a punch using high explosive ammunition types. Now, before I started playing this vehicle, it received some adjustments. More specifically, high explosive saw some adjustments, and I really don't see them this time around behaving and fighting in the same manner that they did in the first phase of the early access test. They just don't have that big punch that they used to have against most vehicles, although they still do when they're encountering other very lightly armored vehicles. The more heavily armored vehicles can resist their high explosive or squash head ammunition damage a bit more effectively. So this is an example of how I'm seeing the Scorpion played more often now, in more of a scouting and capture role. Although it doesn't have quite the big punch it used to have, it still excels at slipping in at the last moment and delivering the final blow. High explosive's good at that. The base that we intend to capture ahead of us is, well, it's got a powerful defender, and the enemy team will converge from all points of the compass once the capture begins. Let's see how the Scorpion does. Now that I've finished off the defending T-62, it's just a question of holding this base. Fortunately, my team is smart. The two of us that are badly damaged are going to be able to hang out behind the rather good cover in this particular capture point. And the two LAV-150s that are better off on health than we are by far are going to put out some suppressing fire as the enemy team converges on our location. Yes, I'm hiding out back here because I'm a one-shot kill. But I'm trying to preserve our capture status as best I can. If I get taken out, that will hurt our chances of taking this base. All in all, it works out pretty well. Although, in the end, things get a little dicey. One of the enemy LAV-150s is smart enough to come around on our flank on this slope to my right and almost has time to put some finishing rounds in before the end of the match. Almost, but not quite. These ultra-fast lightning assaults on the enemy capture point are something that the Scorpion excels at. Now here's a look at the Roughneck map. It's new this time around, and I think it's a very well-designed map. I like winter maps anyway. But it's a big refinery here to the west, immediately to my left, and in the distance you can see a pumping station. With all the roads and railway crossings and various avenues of attack, well, the team has to spread out from one end of the map to the other, and the style of fighting that needs to occur is dramatically different depending on your location. I'm going to use the Scorpion's speed to get over here to the pumping station and see if I can act as a set of eyes for the T-62s that are also heading in that direction. As this match continues, you'll see that I was only partially successful in my goals. The T-62s that are on my team are very aggressive players, and they get up to my position, but I can still use my superior view range to help spot targets that they might not otherwise see. There are some railway cars and a bit of, well, high cover up on top of the hill that make life very difficult to accurately spot and target enemy players on. And I think that in the end I will have been fairly effective in helping the heavier tanks on my team target and at least damage those foes. We're not to that area of the map just yet. This PT-76 has gotten himself into kind of a bad forward position, and he's not going to last very long. I did manage to land a hit of my own on him, and you'll notice that it did quite a bit of module damage, and that's just with regular high explosive. Squash Head is even more effective at causing module and crew damage, and I do like using it quite a bit. I believe I'm going to switch to it at this point and keep it loaded for pretty much the rest of the match. The reason being, I'm pretty sure I'm going to start running into some much more difficult targets here very, very quickly, and I may not be able to finish them off with pure high explosive, but if I can damage a lot of their modules and take out a lot of their crew members with squash, I may actually be making a bigger contribution than the little bit of extra damage my regular high explosive might do. There you go. You see the leopard up on the hillside. We're going to get eyes on him, and there are a couple of tanks over to the left as well. Now, it's a little corny, but the Scorpion does remind me of that old parable that I'm sure you've all heard, the parable of the Scorpion and the Frog. You know, it goes something like this. The Scorpion was attempting to travel. He was very tired of the territory that he was in, so he was seeking a new home, or at least a new place to explore. And he came across a very wide and swift river that he could not cross. He saw a frog sitting in the rushes on the bank of the stream and decided to ask the frog for help in getting across the stream. He asked the frog for a ride. The frog, of course, very hesitantly said, "But won't you simply try and kill me when we get close to the other bank?" And he said, "No, if we make it to the other side alive, I will be so grateful that death would be a poor reward for you, and I would spare you my sting." Well, this made sense to the frog, so he proceeds to swim over to a position where the Scorpion can climb on his back. The Scorpion will sink his claws into the frog's soft flesh, get a good hold, and the frog will bravely set off across the swiftly flowing stream. As the two made their way to the center of the river, where the water was most dangerous and at its swiftest and deepest, the frog suddenly feels a sharp sting in his back. He looks out of the corner of his eye and sees the Scorpion withdrawing his stinger, having delivered a fatal blow. As the deathly numbness flows through the frog's body, he says, "You fool! You have killed us both, for now I will die and you will surely drown." And the Scorpion merely shrugs and says, "I could not help myself, because, you see, It's in my nature. I bring this old chestnut up because this match is about to draw to its close. Up on that hill, there's a Leopard 1 that has an excellent view of the surrounding territory and is going to be difficult to get to. There's also a defending Scorpion up there, watching his flank, who's about to try and get into a better position to help defend the approach to the Leopard and serve as a set of eyes for him. I should probably continue to use the Scorpion the way I have all throughout this match, for supporting fire and doing large amounts of module damage, and being a set of eyes for my team, but I just can't bring myself to continue to play the Scorpion in this manner for the conclusion of this match. I'm going to go on the attack and go after both of these remaining tanks. And why am I going to do that? Especially when this long charge up this open hill will most likely end in my death? Well, you see, much like the Scorpion in the parable, it's in my nature. Well, what do you know? Against all odds, somehow, I survived that. Apparently the other Scorpion driver finds it rather difficult to believe as well. But this victory is going to allow me to level up some of my crew for the Scorpion, and it gives me a good boost on toward the next tank in the line. We'll cover that probably in the next video. That's all I have for you for right now. Until I see you again, good hunting. Thanks for watching. I hope you were entertained. If you liked the video, please remember to subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you. And I'll see you next time.